I want to tell you about a Tuesday morning in Chicago when my life split into two parts. Not with a fight, not with a confrontation. Just a phone notification at 7:41 in the morning while I was making coffee in the kitchen of the house we had bought together 4 years ago in a quiet neighborhood on the north side of the city. The notification said, "Sarah sent a voice note." I pressed play. What came out of that phone changed everything. My wife's voice, clear, unguarded. The specific voice of a woman who is completely certain she is talking to her best friend and not to her husband of 6 years. She said, "Honestly, Lauren, it is not even hard anymore." She laughed. She said, "I know exactly how to handle him." She said he needs to feel like he is making the decisions, so I let him think that. She said I give him things to do, and I frame them the right way, and everything goes exactly how I want. She laughed again. She said 6 years, and he has never once figured it out. She said it is almost too easy. Almost too easy. The voice note ended. I stood in my Chicago kitchen, with my coffee going cold, and those words sitting in the room with me. Almost too easy. I put my phone in my pocket. I finished my coffee. I went to work, and I did not say a single word about it for 10 months. I need to tell you who I was before that Tuesday morning because it matters. My name is not important. What is important is that I was a specific kind of man in that marriage. Not weak. I want to be clear about that, because what I am about to describe can sound like weakness, and it was not. It was the condition of a man who loved his wife completely, and had organized his entire life around that love. I was attentive, present, the kind of present that people notice and comment on. I remembered things, her coffee order from the place on Michigan Avenue, the name of the coworker who made her anxious before big presentations, the specific way she needed space when she was stressed, versus the specific way she needed closeness when she was sad. Those are different things. I had learned both. I showed up, always, for the things she asked and the things she did not ask, because I had paid enough attention to know they mattered without being told. Her name was Sarah. We had met in our late 20s at a rooftop party in Lincoln Park. We had dated for 2 years and married when I was 31. We had a house in Andersonville, 2 incomes, a good life by every external measure. I thought we had something real. The voice note told me it was real and something else simultaneously. Both things can be true. I was about to find out exactly how. The first thing I did after that Tuesday was nothing. Nothing in the most deliberate sense of the word. I did not confront her. I did not change my behavior visibly. I did not give her any signal that the ground between us had shifted 18 inches below the surface where she could not see it. From the outside, I was the same man. Inside, I was making a list. Not of her failures, of my own. I sat at my desk at the architecture firm where I had worked for 8 years, and I thought about every decision I had believed was mine. Every choice that had felt organic and mutual that I now needed to examine in the new light of almost too easy. And here is the honest part. The part I am not going to skip, because skipping it would make me the hero of this story, and I am not interested in being the hero. I am interested in being accurate. I could not tell the difference. That was the specific horror of that week. Not that I found evidence of manipulation everywhere, and could cleanly separate it from the genuine moments. That 6 years of a marriage that had felt real and chosen was now a landscape I could not read with confidence anymore. I sat with that. I did not do anything dramatic with it. I redirected it. The gym first. I had always wanted to go consistently. 5:30 in the morning, before the city woke up. I had tried before and stopped for reasons that, when I examined them honestly, were mostly about being available, being home, being the man who was present when Sarah woke up. I started going. Every morning, 5:30. The gym is 3 blocks from our house. I went alone, and I worked hard, and nobody needed anything from me at 5:30 in the morning, and that specific freedom was something I had not known I was missing until I had it. Then the promotion. My firm had offered me a senior partner track position 7 months earlier. More responsibility, more travel, 2 weeks a month in New York, working with our East Coast clients. I had discussed it with Sarah, and she had not loved the travel idea, and I had declined the position. I called my managing partner on Thursday. I said I had reconsidered. He said the position was still available. I said I would like it. He said, "Welcome aboard." I hung up and I sat in my car in the firm's parking garage on West Wacker, and I thought about the 7 months I had spent in the position I already had, because Sarah had not loved the travel idea. I thought it was almost too easy. I thought about whose idea had actually been. I started the car. I drove to my next meeting. Sarah noticed within 2 weeks. We were at dinner at our kitchen table, the one we had picked out together at a store on Clybourne, the one she had loved, and I had agreed was perfect. And she put her fork down and looked at me. She said, "You seem different." I said, "Something different how?" She said, "I cannot put my finger on it. Just different." I said, "I am the same." She said, "You have been going to the gym very early." I said, "Yes." She said, "You did not mention the promotion." I mentioned I was reconsidering it. She said, "You did not tell me you accepted." I said, "I accepted it last week." She said, "The travel." I said, "It is manageable." She looked at me with the specific attention of someone whose instrument of navigation has started returning unexpected readings, and who is trying to understand why. I recognized it now. I had the voice note for context. It changed what I could see. She said, "Are we okay?" I said, "We are fine, Sarah." I picked up my fork. I finished my dinner. Month 3. I had lost 9 pounds. Not from trying exactly, from 5:30 and eating differently and sleeping better, and the specific way a body responds when the person inside it is finally paying it real attention. My colleague James said I looked like a different person. My old friend Derek, the one who had gradually gone quiet over the years of my marriage, the one Sarah had never fully warmed to, the one whose calls I had started returning, said when we got dinner on a Friday night in Wicker Park that I seemed like myself again. I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "It means you seem like the guy I knew before, the one who had things going on." I said, "I have always had things going on." He gave me a look. I said, "Okay." He said, "Whatever you did, keep doing it." At home, Sarah was trying things. The warmth first. The specific warmth I had always responded to. The particular way she touched my arm when she wanted my full attention. The small gestures of care that had worked reliably for 6 years. They work differently now. I noticed them. I have always noticed everything. But noticing and responding are 2 separate things, and I had stopped automatically responding. She tried directness next. She said one Sunday morning, "I feel like you are somewhere else, even when you are here." I said, "I am here." She said, "That is not what I mean." I said, "Tell me specifically what you mean." She said, "You are distant." "You used to." She stopped. I said, "I used to." She said, "You used to be more present." I said, "I am present. I am sitting at this table in our kitchen in Chicago, having this conversation with you." She said, "You know that is not what I mean." I said, "I think you should say exactly what you mean, Sarah. I have found that directness is more efficient than implication." She looked at me. I looked at her. Something moved through her expression. I finished my coffee. Month 5. The New York trip had started. 2 weeks a month at our East Coast office, working with clients I genuinely found interest in. Projects that required the full version of me, rather than the version that had been saving energy for a marriage that was not using it honestly. The full version showed up. My managing partner flew in from New York, specifically to sit in on one of my client presentations in March. He took me to dinner at a steakhouse on Erie Street afterward, and said the client had asked for me specifically on their next project. He said he was glad I had reconsidered. I said so was I. I meant it. Sarah came to my office on a Wednesday